The first stone hit the signboard before anyone saw the crowd. It cracked the glass under the words "Agnes, Home of Hope," then fell and rolled across the new tiles. A small boy near the gate screamed and ran inside. The second stone followed, harder, smashing the glass completely. Shouts rose from outside, angry, careless, hungry for drama. "Witch house, close it down. Return the children to their parents. Simon Bennett is using orphans to wash money." Ada burst into Simon's office, breathless. "Sir, please, come now. People are at the gate. It is getting bad." Simon stood so fast, his chair scraped the floor. He had been signing sponsorship letters, planning food deliveries, and scheduling tutors. His pen dropped. "Where is security?" "2 men at the gate, but more people are coming." "Call the police," he said, already moving. By the time he reached the front, the noise was a wall. Men with phone cameras, women with hard eyes, boys who came for chaos. At the center of it all stood one face he recognized, the scarf woman from under Oshodi Bridge. She'd found a microphone from somewhere and was shouting with the confidence of someone who had enjoyed being listened to once and now wanted more. "I told you, this place is a trap," she cried, pointing at the compound. "He took the witch from the bridge, and now he wants to use children for sacrifice. Ask them why they buried her in his mansion. Ask them." Murmurs turned into boos. A third stone flew. Simon pushed the gate open and stepped out before his guards could stop him. The sudden sight of the man himself silenced the front row. Cameras raised higher. "Good afternoon," Simon said, voice steady. "This house is for children who have nowhere to sleep. There is food inside. There are books. There is safety. If you came for truth, come in and see. If you came for lies, throw your stones at me, not at children." A few people dropped their eyes. Others didn't. The scarf woman sneered. "Fine words. Let us speak about the woman you buried. Agnes, the same Agnes who killed her son." "She did not kill him," Simon said, calm but firm. "He died protecting her from a thief. I have witnesses and a letter. If you want proof, we will give you proof. But stop this today. There are children here." A new voice cut in from the back, deep, smooth, dangerous. "Then give me my proof." The crowd shifted. A tall man in a dark kaftan stepped forward. He looked like money that refused to smile, clean shoes, sharp beard, the posture of someone used to being obeyed. 2 men flanked him. He did not raise his voice, but people made space for him. Ada whispered at Simon's shoulder, "Sir, that is Councillor Goriola, mainland local council. He owns half the shops on this street." Goriola's eyes were cold. "I gave 5 million naira to this project," he said. "I did it because you said it would help children, not because of witch stories. But since you want truth, let me add mine." He raised his chin toward the scarf woman. "Madam, the thief you shouted about years ago, I know him." The yard went still. Simon's heartbeat thudded in his ears. "What did you say?" Goriola watched him like a cat. "His name is Ikenga, little-time muscle boy then, big-time nuisance now. He worked for people I used to know." He smiled without humor. "He still talks too much when he drinks. Last week he told a story about a sweet night in Ajagunle long ago. A poor compound, a mother, a son, a knife, a black bag." Anger chilled Simon's blood. "Where is he?" Goriola shrugged. "If you are smart, you will leave it. Old stories burn fresh houses." Olivia stepped out then, her hands shaking but her face steady. She wore a simple blue dress. The gold pendant lay warm against her skin. She moved to stand beside Simon. "If he knows the man who killed my father, then there is no leaving it," she said quietly. "We will find him." A ripple of surprise ran through the crowd. "My father." Murmurs rose again, but now they were curious, not cruel. Goriola lifted a hand. "Calm yourselves. I did not come to break buildings." His eyes returned to Simon. "I came to warn you. If you go after Ikenga, you're not only chasing a man, you are touching an old web, and webs fight back." "Then they should be ready," Simon said, "because I am done watching kindness bleed." Before Goriola could answer, sirens cracked the air. 2 police vehicles rolled in. The crowd melted to the sides, suddenly busy, suddenly remembering other places to be. The scarf woman vanished first. Phones went down, mouths closed. A familiar figure climbed from the lead truck. Inspector Felix, broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, a man whose eyes missed little. He and Simon had crossed paths during a dealership fraud case years back. There had been respect, not friendship, but sometimes Lagos asked you to accept the gift of a steady hand. Felix looked at the broken signboard, the stones, the cluster of children peeking from behind the door. Then he looked at Simon. "Odogwu," he said with a small nod. "You built something good. Who wants to spoil it?" Simon inclined his head toward Goriola. Counselor brought a name. Felix listened. When he heard Ikenga, his jaw tightened. "We have seen that one before," he said, "slippery like oil." Goriola smirked. "You never caught him because he never runs before you arrive." Olivia stepped closer. "Can you help us?" she asked Felix. "Not for me. For my grandmother. For the truth." Felix's eyes softened for a second. "I can try, Miss Olivia Agnes." He nodded as if the surname answered everything. "Then we trying is already a promise." Inside the compound, Ada and the staff calmed the children, turned on cartoons, passed out bread and Milo. The police took statements. A glazier arrived to measure the broken glass. By evening, the noise outside had turned back into traffic, the kind that keeps Lagos honest. In Simon's office, the four of them, Simon, Olivia, Felix, and surprisingly Goriola, sat around a low table. The pendant on Olivia's neck caught a stripe of evening sun. On the table lay the old letter, a photocopy for the file, and a faded black-and-white photo of Henry with a leather bracelet on his wrist, the same style as the pendant's chain. Felix studied the picture. "This bracelet, you still have it?" Olivia touched the pendant. "Grandma gave me only this. She said the bracelet was taken the night he died. She wrote that it belonged to the woman Henry loved." Simon frowned. The letter said, "A bracelet in his hand, not on his wrist." He leaned forward. If Ikenga took it, he might have sold it. Or kept it. Felix tapped the table. "You keep talking like you want to go into the gutter yourself." Simon did not blink. "If that is where the truth sleeps, I will go." Goriola laughed once, quiet and tired. "You are brave, or proud, or both. I can point you at the first door. After that, you walk with your own legs." Felix gave him a dry look. "And why are you helping?" "Because once, long ago, a boy like Henry stood between a knife and my kid sister." He stared out the window for a moment. "We do not always get a chance to pay life back. Today I did." Night fell soft and blue. The children finally slept. The broken signboard lay covered with canvas, waiting for morning repairs. On the balcony, Simon and Olivia stood in the quiet hum of the city. The lilies near Madam Agnes's small garden moved like they were breathing. "You were strong today," Simon said. Olivia shook her head. "I was shaking." "Strength is sometimes shaking and standing anyway." She smiled, then grew serious. "If we find Ikenga, and it is true, if he killed my father, what will you do?" Simon looked at the dark street. "I don't know yet. Part of me wants to burn the whole web down. Another part remembers what your grandmother said. Love is a circle. If I break it with hate, then what did we build here?" Olivia's eyes glistened. She would want truth, and she would want mercy. He glanced at her pendant. "She left you a compass." "She left us a compass." Olivia took a breath. "Promise me something." "Anything. When it gets dirty, when men lie or pay or threaten, don't shut your heart. Grandma told you not to. Promise me again." He nodded. "I promise." Downstairs the front bell rang, one soft ring, then two quick ones, like a code. Ada's voice echoed up the stairwell. "Sir, Inspector Felix sent someone, says it's urgent." They went down together. A plainclothes officer stood with a small clear evidence bag. Inside lay a leather bracelet, old, worn, but carefully kept. A tiny charm hung from it, scratched but readable. H.A. Felix followed, face unreadable. "We picked this up from a back room in Makoko," he said. "One of our rats sold it for a bottle this morning. Says it came from a man he calls Chief's dog. That man answers to Ikenga." Olivia's hand flew to her mouth, tears rushed to her eyes. "It's his," she whispered. "It has to be." Simon's throat tightened. He took the bag gently, like it could break a second time. "Where is Ikenga now?" Felix looked from Simon to Olivia. He is in the only place people like him feel safe, behind music and noise. He slipped a card onto the table with a club name written in ink. If you go with me. No hero work. Simon nodded once. Goriola checked his watch, stood and fixed his cuffs. You will not walk in there as enemies, he said. You will walk in as men who know what everyone else pretends not to know. He looked at Simon. Tomorrow night, wear nothing that shines. He walked to the door, paused, and without turning added, and pray, because some truths do not like light. When the house was quiet again, Simon carried the evidence bag to the small garden where lilies grew. He knelt by the stone that bore Agnes in simple letters and placed the bracelet beside it for a breath before locking it away. We are close, Mamma, he whispered. If you can hear me, guide our steps. A wind moved through the lilies, soft as a hand. Olivia stood in the doorway, watching him through gentle tears. Tomorrow, she said. Tomorrow, he answered. Far across the city, in a club where bass made glass tremble, a man with a shark smile lifted a drink and laughed too loudly. A thin scar ran from his ear to his jaw. When he turned, a brass dog tag hit his chest. The name stamped on it was simple. Ikenga. The music swallowed their names the moment the door shut behind them. Bass rolled through the club like thunder trapped in a box. Blue light cut the room into moving slices, faces, hands, gold chains, glass. Perfume and smoke sat heavy in the air. Laughter was loud, but the kind that hid sharp things. Inspector Felix walked first, jacket open, eyes calm. Simon moved beside him in a plain black shirt. Nothing that shone. Two officers blended into the crowd. Olivia waited outside in the SUV with Ada, fingers tight around her pendant, whispering the only prayer she could manage. Find truth. Come back safe. Felix nudged Simon's arm. No hero work, he reminded softly. No hero work, Simon echoed. They didn't go through the main hall. Goriola had sent a message ahead. 2 words. Backstairs. A waiter with a scar on his thumb appeared like a shadow and guided them past the kitchen heat, through a metal door, up a narrow stairway that smelled of bleach and secrets. At the top, a corridor, 2 bouncers, a red bulb. The waiter knocked once and pushed the door. Ikenga sat with his back to the city, Lagos lights spilling at his shoulder like trophies. He was taller than Simon expected, lean and coiled, with that thin scar from ear to jaw and a smile that tried to climb a face that didn't know how to be kind. A brass dog tag lay on his chest. He turned his glass slowly, ice ticking like a small clock. Ah, he said, voice smooth. Odogwu himself, and police. His eyes slid to Felix. Inspector, we meet in places with music, not law courts. You should ask yourself why. Felix closed the door, said nothing. Ikenga's gaze rested on Simon, amused. Your driver took you to a bridge, and you found a mother. Now you bring her ghost to my table. What do you want? Simon didn't sit. He took out the clear evidence bag and placed it on the glass table between them. The bracelet caught a piece of blue light. HA scratched on the charm, looked like it had been written by a shaking hand. Ikenga's smile stopped trying. Where did you get this? He asked too quickly. Felix answered, From a rat that eats in your kitchen. Ikenga laughed, but it rang false. Inspector, you know people like me don't keep rats. We keep cats. Even cats cough when you pour pepper, Felix said. He coughed. We listened. Ikenga looked at Simon again. What do you think you will do with a bracelet? Tie me with it? Simon's voice was level. Tell me the truth about that night in Ajegunle. Ikenga raised his glass, took a slow sip, let silence do the work of fear. The bass from below pressed against the floor. Somewhere a woman's laugh broke, then mended. Men remember nights for 3 reasons, Ikenga said finally. Women, money, blood. That night had all 3. He leaned back. You're Henry. Good boy, too brave. He had a woman. Beautiful, smart. She wore a leather bracelet and worked at the factory office sometimes. She learned things she should not have learned. Henry told her he would fix it. He took papers, names, figures, a location. Then someone paid me to collect a bag. Not to kill, just to collect. He dragged a finger across the table, tracing nothing. But ignorance meets pride, and the street eats both. Simon's hands tightened. Who paid you? Ikenga lifted one shoulder. You think I will say a name because you brought police without uniform? No, I like my mouth where it lives. Felix sat finally. We can do this soft or hard. I like soft when children are sleeping near the truth. Ikenga's smile returned, small, ugly. Soft is for pillows, Inspector. He stood. The two bouncers at the corridor moved a step closer, but Felix's men were already there, palms open, ready, not loud. For a tense breath, the room felt like a glass that might crack. Simon didn't move. He had learned in boardrooms and courtrooms and dark rooms that sometimes power is as simple as not blinking first. He pointed at the evidence bag. If not killing, why is his bracelet in your back room? Ikenga's eyes flicked to the charm again. Something like anger crossed his face. Old anger. The kind people put under the floor and hope never to meet again. Because the job went wrong, he said. The boy came home early. I was inside already. The landlord had left the gate open for me. Somebody else, somebody I did not expect, was in the corridor. Red scarf, small body, fast hands. He made a quick, rough gesture. Knife, shout, and then blood. Too much blood. A picture flashed in Simon's mind. A dark corridor, a door ajar. Henry pushing forward, arms open to shield, the world turning red. Red scarf, Felix asked. A woman? Ikenga nodded once. Some people send guns, some people send whispers. That night, they sent a woman who disappears in markets when the sun rises. I have seen her twice since then. She carries kindness on her face and stone under it. Simon's chest tightened. Her name. You think a ghost introduces herself? Ikenga shook his head. But she left this. He tapped his own jaw where his scar ran. I tried to catch her. She blessed me with a new mouth. Felix's voice went flint hard. Who ordered the job? Ikenga watched him with a patient cruelty. You want a name so you can sleep. I want to live so I can wake. He spread his hands. Balance, Inspector. Simon leaned forward, his voice dropping. If you didn't kill Henry, why didn't you say so? Why did you hide? Because the street does not care who held the knife if it can sell a story, Ikenga said. Because the landlord got paid to shout witch and the crowd wanted a song. Because policemen, your brothers, came late and left early. He glanced at Felix, not apologizing. Because when the ocean is dirty, a man chooses a stone to stand on and prays it holds. Silence hung. The bass trembled through their shoes. Simon stared at him. Henry died protecting his mother. Ikenga's jaw worked. He died protecting a bag. Felix's eyes narrowed. What bag? The black one. Ikenga tapped the table again. Documents, a flash drive. The bracelet was inside, tied with a ribbon. I took the bag. Someone took it from me before morning. That was the agreement I did not know I agreed to. Who took it? Felix asked. Ikenga smiled with no joy. The one I answer to. Chief, Simon said softly. Ikenga's gaze cooled. You do not say his first name. You say chairman if you like your teeth. Felix sat back. So this is bigger than you. This is always bigger than boys like me, Ikenga said. You people build houses. We stand under them when the rain starts. The bag went up. The noise went down. Only the mother's life stayed loud. He looked at the bracelet again, and something unexpected passed his face. Regret, or maybe the memory of being small once. You still can make this easy, Felix said. Testify, give us one door. Ikenga laughed, but this time it sounded tired. Inspector, you have a simple face for a man with a hard job. Doors are guarded. Sometimes from the inside. He lifted his glass. The ice had melted. Then he did something they didn't expect. He took off the brass dog tag and placed it beside the bracelet. Why? Simon asked, wary. Because my scar burns when lies get close, Ikenga said. That night, the woman with the scarf dropped something shiny when she ran. I kept this to remember I was not the only dog in that yard. He turned the tag. On the back, scratched small, K House. Felix leaned in. K what? Ketu House, Ikenga said. Old warehouse near the canal. Men go in with empty hands and come out with heavy pockets. You did not hear it from me. The corridor outside shifted. Footsteps, a murmur, a radio squawk. Felix's officer opened the door a crack, whispered fast, "Sir, 3 more men just came up. Not our own." Ikenga's smile snapped back. "The web is awake." Felix stood. "You're coming with us." Ikenga's eyes went flat. "And if I don't?" Simon spoke before the room could turn sharp again. "Come, because a mother carried me through floodwater, and your silence keeps her son in a dark place. Come, because you say you didn't kill him. Prove it in light." For a long 3 heartbeats, the world held still. Ikenga looked at the door, looked at the bracelet, looked at Simon like he was trying to measure a thing money can't buy. Then he nodded once. "I will walk to the stairs," he said. "After that, I am in God's hand and your guns." They moved. The bouncers tensed. Felix's men stepped wide, palms still open but set like walls. The waiter with the scar reappeared like smoke and led them down a side passage Simon wouldn't have seen alone. They came out into the kitchen, steam, shouting, knives hitting boards. A back exit gaped like a small mouth. The SUV's headlights flashed twice outside. Ada's signal. Simon's phone buzzed. "Olivia, are you safe?" He typed one word, "Coming." They pushed into the night. A black saloon car rolled from the corner fast. Doors opened, men in clean shirts and ugly eyes. Ikenga stopped. "Chairman's cats," he said, voice dry. Felix stepped forward, badge up, voice big. "Police, back away." For once, Lagos listened. The cats hesitated. Guns didn't rise. People on the street pretended they didn't see, which is how the city protects its children and its cowards. In the gap that hesitation made, they moved. 2 steps, 3, then the SUV doors flew open. Ada pulled Olivia into the back. Felix shoved Ikenga in beside them. Simon slid in last. "Drive," Felix said. The SUV leapt. Behind them, the cats remembered they were tigers and gave chase. Headlights danced, horns cursed. The city watched, uninterested and fully awake. Ada cut left, then right, then left again. The car hugging streets only people who grew up inside maps could love. The cats fell behind like bad thoughts at dawn. They reached the mansion gate. The guards opened like prayer. The SUV slid in. The world outside closed with a soft metal click. They spilled into the foyer, breathless, wired, half laughing, because fear sometimes dresses like joy when it survives. Ikenga stood in the wide light and looked very small for a second. Olivia stepped forward, eyes bright with tears she refused to let fall. "Tell me one more truth," she said. "The woman with the red scarf. Do you remember her face?" Ikenga nodded slowly. "Yes." She swallowed. "If I bring you pictures, can you point?" "I can point." Felix's radio crackled. A voice. "Sir, we have movement at K2 Canal. 2 trucks. No plates." Simon looked at the bracelet, at the tag, at the lilies moving in the night breeze through the glass. He turned to Felix. "Then we go to Ketu House." Felix nodded once. "Before they clean what you came to find." Olivia took Simon's hand, squeezed. "No hero work," she whispered. He squeezed back. "Only truth." They didn't see the figure across the street, standing in the dark under a tree, watching the gate through a thin red scarf. She lifted a phone, pressed a button, and said into the mouthpiece, calm as rain, "They have the dog. Move the bag." The night in Lagos had that uneasy stillness that came right before chaos. A humid silence, heavy, suspicious. Even the street dogs near the canal had gone quiet. The black police van rolled into the narrow road behind Ketu House, its headlights off. The old warehouse stood in darkness, an unmarked tomb of rusted iron and secrets. The water from the nearby canal shimmered faintly under the half-moon. Inside the van, Inspector Felix checked his weapon. Simon sat beside him, still wearing the same black shirt from the night before. Olivia sat behind them, gripping her pendant so tightly, the gold imprint of HA pressed into her palm. "Are you sure you want to be here?" Felix asked without turning. Olivia nodded. "This is about my father. I can't hide from it." Simon's voice was low. "She stays with me, Felix." Felix exhaled. "Then you both follow my lead." No noise, no flash. These men don't like witnesses. Ikenga, handcuffed but alert, sat opposite them. His eyes were distant, cold. "You people are walking into a pit," he murmured. "The chairman doesn't build houses. He builds graves that look like warehouses." Felix glanced at him. "Then you can lead us through one." Ikenga smirked faintly. "Fair warning, the man you're after doesn't shoot first. He buys first. And if he can't buy you, he buries you with cash still in your pocket." The van stopped 2 blocks away. The air smelled of engine oil and salt. Felix signaled to his men, 3 officers dressed plain, one with a drone controller in hand. "Drones up," Felix ordered. "Silent mode." The drone lifted, its red light dimmed, gliding over the canal. The screen in Felix's hand showed a faint outline. Figures moving inside the warehouse, maybe 6, maybe more. A truck was parked near the rear gate, its back open. "Looks like they're loading something," Felix whispered. Ikenga leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "The bag." Simon's pulse quickened. "The same one. The black one," Ikenga said. "Chairman's people keep evidence like treasure." Felix turned to him. "Who's running it tonight?" "Probably Chief Duro, Chairman's accountant." "Numbers man, if Duro is here, it's cleanup time." Felix's voice hardened. "Then we move before the cleanup starts." They exited the van silently. The sound of the canal's slow water filled the air. Felix signaled his men to flank the building. Simon and Olivia stayed close behind him. Ikenga walked between 2 officers, his wrists glinting under faint moonlight. As they approached the side entrance, the metallic clatter of crates echoed from inside. A man's voice barked orders. "Quickly, load them in." "Chairman wants this place empty before dawn." Felix motioned 1, 2, 3, and pushed the door open. The light inside was dim, swinging from a single hanging bulb. Wooden crates lined the walls. Men in black vests froze mid-movement when they saw the guns pointed at them. "Police!" Felix's voice cracked through the space. "Hands up! Step away from the crates!" Chaos erupted. One man dropped his box and ran toward the rear gate. Another drew a pistol, but Felix's second shot clipped his arm clean. Screams. The echo of metal. Simon pulled Olivia behind a stack of crates, shielding her as splinters flew. Ikenga ducked low, shouting, "Left side! 2 more!" Felix's men moved fast, covering angles. Within minutes, the gunfire slowed, then stopped. 3 men lay face down, 2 surrendered. But the truck engine roared to life. Felix turned sharply. "The bag!" Ikenga shouted. "They're escaping through the canal route." Simon sprinted before anyone could stop him. Olivia called after him. "Simon!" But he was already outside. The truck's headlights cut through the mist, speeding toward the back exit. Simon ran into the open road, waving his arms. "Stop that truck!" It didn't stop. He dove to the side as the truck thundered past, scraping the wall. The back door flapped open for a split second, and he saw it. A black leather bag tied with a faded red ribbon. He scrambled to his feet and jumped into Felix's SUV. "Ada, drive!" The SUV roared to life. Olivia jumped into the passenger seat beside Ada, clutching the dashboard. Felix and 2 officers followed in the van. The chase tore through Ketu's sleeping streets, the truck weaving through alleys, the SUV inches behind. Simon's jaw was tight, his eyes locked on the taillights. "Get closer," he shouted. Ada gritted her teeth. "I'm trying." The truck swerved hard, smashing through a fruit stall. Wooden debris scattered. Olivia screamed, ducking as an orange rolled across her lap. Then, suddenly, bang, a tire burst. The truck jerked sideways, screeching to a halt near the canal's dead end. Felix's van blocked the escape route behind them. Armed officers jumped out, guns raised. "Hands up!" The truck driver stumbled out, panicked, but before he could say a word, a single shot echoed from the shadows. He dropped instantly. Felix turned. "Sniper!" They dove for cover. Another shot shattered the SUV's mirror. Simon pulled Olivia down, shielding her with his body. "Stay low," Felix shouted orders. "Find the shooter." Ikenga, crouched near the van, squinted toward a rusted tower by the canal. "Top level, left side." One of Felix's men raised his rifle and fired a warning shot. The figure on the tower ducked and ran. "Go," Felix ordered. "Move in." Simon rushed to the truck's back. The doors were half open, swinging. He yanked them wide. Inside were dozens of crates. He tore one open and froze. It wasn't just papers, it was money. Bundles of naira and foreign notes tightly packed. Olivia gasped behind him. "Oh my God." Ikenga stepped closer, stunned. This is Chairman's vault on wheels." Felix climbed up beside them, his face grim. "So that's what they've been hiding. Laundered cash, fake charity donations, all under company fronts." But Simon wasn't looking at the money. He was staring at the black bag sitting alone at the top of the pile, dusty, worn, tied with the same faded ribbon. He reached for it slowly, his heart pounding. Inside were two things: a stack of letters in Madam Agnes's handwriting, a single photograph of a man shaking hands with Henry, the same scar-faced Chief Duro. At the bottom of the bag lay a small flash drive. Simon held it up. This is what he died protecting. Felix took it carefully. "We'll open it at headquarters. It could expose half the city." Just then, Ikenga stiffened. His eyes flicked to the corner of the alley. "We're not alone." Out of the darkness, a woman stepped forward, slim, hooded and calm. The red scarf around her neck glowed faintly under the moonlight. Her voice was soft. "Step away from the bag." Felix raised his gun instantly. "Drop the weapon." She smiled. "Inspector Felix, still walking into fires for people who don't thank you." "Who are you?" Simon demanded. She tilted her head. "The one who finished what Ikenga couldn't." Ikenga's face twisted in rage. You killed Henry." She didn't flinch. He was in the way. Before Felix could move, she threw something, a small silver disc, onto the ground. Smoke exploded, thick and choking. "Cover your faces," Felix shouted. Coughs, confusion. Olivia grabbed Simon's arm, trying not to lose him in the haze. When the smoke cleared, she was gone. Only the faint sound of heels fading into the dark remained. Felix kicked a crate, furious. "She's protecting the chairman." Ikenga spat on the ground. "No, she is the chairman's ghost, the one no one names." Simon looked down at the black bag in his hands. "Then we name her," he said quietly, "and we end this." Olivia met his eyes. "Whoever she is, she's not done with us." The sirens wailed in the distance, backup arriving too late as usual. Felix pocketed the flash drive. "Tomorrow morning, we find out what's inside. And then the city will finally know who built its fortune on blood." As the first light of dawn touched the canal, Simon turned toward the water. The reflection of his face looked older, tired, scarred by truths too heavy to unsee. And somewhere out there, in the thinning fog, the woman with the red scarf watched from a rooftop, whispering into her phone. The next morning, Lagos woke up to a different kind of heat. Not from the sun, but from whispers. News was already leaking. Police raid in Ketu, hidden warehouse discovered, millions seized. But no one knew the full story, not yet. Inside the glass-walled tech lab at Simon's mansion, the air was tense and still. The black bag from the canal sat on the metal table, and beside it, the flash drive. Felix stood with folded arms. Olivia sat beside the screen, her fingers trembling slightly. Simon's jaw was tight. He hadn't slept. "Once we open this," Felix said, "there's no going back. Whoever owns these files will know." "Then let them know," Simon replied quietly. "We've been hiding from ghosts long enough." Felix slid the drive into the laptop. The screen blinked, then flooded with folders, all labeled with initials and dates. AH, 2003, Children's Fund. DC, 2005, Lagos Project. MB, 2008, Orphanage Division. Chairman, Private Felix, whistled softly. "This is bigger than we thought." Olivia leaned closer. "Open the last one." Simon clicked. A password box appeared. Felix frowned. "Encrypted." Simon stared at the keyboard. Madam Agnes's words came back to him. "Love is a circle. It always finds its way home." He typed, "Circle enter." The folder opened instantly. 3 videos, each labeled with a name and date. Henry Agnes, 2001, Project Eden, 2002, Chairman Final, 2003. Simon clicked the first. The video opened to a grainy recording, a small room with a flickering bulb. A younger Henry sat at a desk, his face anxious but determined. He spoke directly to the camera. "If you're watching this, it means I didn't make it. My name is Henry Agnes. I work at Westline Manufacturing, under Chief Duro. What I discovered could destroy everything they built." He held up a folder marked Project Eden. "They are stealing donation funds meant for orphanage programs and diverting them into fake construction projects. Madam Agnes doesn't know. They're using her name, my mother's name, on forged documents." He swallowed hard. "I've copied all the evidence onto a flash drive. If anything happens to me, someone must tell her. And Simon Bennett. He's the only man I trust to make things right." The screen froze on Henry's face, young, alive, hopeful. Olivia covered her mouth, tears streamed down her cheeks. "That's him. That's my father." Simon's hands were trembling. He whispered, "He trusted me, even before I knew him." Felix stared at the screen, speechless. So this was never about witchcraft. They framed her to bury this. Simon nodded slowly, fury rising in his voice. "Chief Duro, and whoever this chairman really is." Felix played the second video. A meeting room. Dim lights. Several men sat around a table, all well-dressed, powerful. Chief Duro was among them, smiling coldly. On a projector screen behind him were logos of Agnes Foundation and Children's Hope Initiative. A voice off camera said, "And the mother? The one they used the name from?" Chief Duro laughed. "Dead or alive, she's poor. Who'll believe her? By the time anyone asks, she'll be a rumor under a bridge." Simon's fists clenched. "That devil." Olivia looked away, shaking. "They destroyed her life to hide their crime." Felix paused the video. "One more file." The last video loaded, Chairman final. At first, just static. Then the screen cleared. A figure appeared, sitting in a large office, face hidden in shadow. The voice was deep, calm, confident. "If this project is ever compromised, remove everyone. Henry Agnes, the accountant, and anyone tied to the bridge woman. Money can be made again. Silence must be permanent." Felix leaned forward. "Can we enhance the video?" Simon adjusted the brightness. Slowly the face came into view, a faint scar on the chin, a gold ring with a blue stone. A familiar laugh from years ago. Olivia's eyes widened. No, it can't be." Simon froze, his stomach dropped. "Chief Goriola," Felix whispered. Simon's voice was low and cold. "He warned us about a web, because he built it." Silence filled the room. The weight of betrayal was thick and suffocating. Olivia finally spoke, voice trembling. "He used us. He led us to Ketu House to erase the rest of the evidence. He knew we'd bring the police." Felix slammed his hand on the table. "We walked right into his game. He let us take the small fish while he cleaned the net." Simon exhaled slowly, fury simmering under his calm. "Then we flipped the game. We used what he left behind to destroy him." Felix turned to him. "You're talking about going public?" Simon nodded. "Yes, I'll call a press conference tonight. This ends now." Olivia shook her head quickly. "You don't understand. He's a councillor with ties to state power. If you expose him, he'll come for you." Simon looked at her, eyes steady, voice low. "He already did, the day he lied about Madam Agnes. I'm not afraid anymore." Felix sighed. "Then we need protection. I'll set up safe transport and post guards around the house. No one goes out alone." But even as he said it, the lights flickered. Olivia looked up. "What's happening?" The power cut. The room went black. Then, boom. An explosion rattled the compound. Glass shattered. The air filled with dust and smoke. Felix grabbed his weapon. "Down! Everyone down!" Simon shielded Olivia as debris rained from the ceiling. Through the haze, red flames licked the edges of the building across the courtyard. The generator room was burning. Felix shouted over the noise. "Backup power's gone! Move to the panic room now!" They ran through the hall, coughing. Ada and 2 guards joined them halfway, shouting, "Sir, security cameras are down. We saw 3 vehicles breach the gate." "Whose cars?" Simon yelled. Ada's voice shook. "Unmarked, black SUVs." Felix cursed under his breath. They're already here. He turned to Simon and Olivia. Get to the basement. Lock the steel door. Don't open it for anyone. What about you? Simon asked. Felix loaded his weapon. I'll buy you 5 minutes. He ran toward the main hall, shouting orders. Gunfire erupted outside. Simon pulled Olivia through the corridor toward the hidden basement entrance behind the bookcase. Smoke crawled along the ceiling like dark fingers. They slipped inside. Simon slammed the steel door shut. The sound of bullets hitting metal echoed from above. Olivia sank to the floor, shaking. They're trying to erase everything, just like they did before. Simon knelt beside her. They won't succeed this time. He opened the emergency drawer and pulled out a small black case. Inside was a second flash drive. Olivia's eyes widened. You made a copy? Simon nodded. Always. She smiled weakly through her tears. You really were her boy. He smiled faintly back. And you are her blood. Above them, footsteps thundered. The attackers were inside. Then, silence. A moment later, the steel door vibrated. Once, twice, as if someone was testing it. Olivia froze. Simon, he grabbed her hand. Stay behind me. The handle twisted slightly, then stopped. From the other side came a familiar voice, calm, smooth, mocking. Simon Bennett, said Chief Goriola. You've been busy digging up graves. Simon's heart pounded. Goriola continued, voice dripping with pride. Give me what you found, and I'll let the girl live. Olivia's breath hitched. Simon clenched his jaw. You'll get it over my dead body. Goriola chuckled. That's exactly what I planned. There was a soft click, the sound of a detonator arming. Felix's voice shouted faintly from the hall, Simon, get down! And then a flash of white fire ripped through the corridor. The world turned to smoke and screams. And everything went dark. The explosion tore through the west wing like thunder trapped in stone. Flames roared, glass burst, and a storm of dust swallowed the hall. Somewhere between the crash and the silence, Simon stopped hearing. When the ringing in his ears faded, he found himself on the floor of the basement. Concrete dust covered everything. The steel door was half bent, but still standing. A faint light blinked from the far corner, the backup battery for the CCTV system. Olivia, no answer. He coughed, staggered to his knees. A few feet away, she lay half-buried under broken shelves, her face streaked with soot, but still blessedly breathing. He pulled the debris away, his hands shaking. Hey, wake up. Her eyes fluttered open slowly. Simon. You're okay, I've got you. She winced, clutching her arm. My shoulder hurts. He glanced at it, bleeding but not broken. He tore his sleeve and wrapped it quickly. We have to move. If the fire spreads, this basement will turn into a coffin. Above them, boots pounded across the floorboards. Voices shouted, men searching, methodical, confident. One voice rose above the others, cold, unhurried. Chief Goriola. Find them. Bring me the flash drive. Leave no witnesses. Simon looked toward the ceiling, anger and grief burning behind his calm. He's still alive. Olivia's voice was barely a whisper. Felix? Simon hesitated. The last thing he remembered was Felix yelling for him to get down. The rest had vanished in the fire. He forced himself to breathe. We'll find him. But first, we end this. He reached for the small black case still hanging from his belt. The backup flash drive, untouched. Olivia's eyes widened. You kept it safe. He nodded. Madam Agnes didn't raise a fool. She gave a faint, shaky smile despite the chaos. She'd be proud of you. He helped her up carefully, guiding her toward the ventilation shaft at the far wall. Smoke seeped through the cracks. The air was getting hotter. Simon unscrewed the old metal grill with trembling fingers. We can crawl out through here. It leads to the garden. A loud crash echoed above. They both froze. Someone had found the basement door. Now, Simon whispered. They crawled through the shaft, the metal warm against their skin, the air thick with dust. Behind them, muffled voices shouted, They're inside. Simon pushed the panel open and pulled Olivia out into the garden. Flames licked the mansion walls, painting the night in orange and black. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance, growing closer. "Come on," he said, grabbing her hand. "The south gate." They ran, stumbling through smoke and falling ash. As they reached the gate, a figure stepped from behind the marble fountain, burned coat, torn sleeve, pistol raised. "Felix." "Move," he shouted. "They're circling the front." Relief broke through Simon's chest. "You're alive." "Barely," Felix muttered, coughing. "The blast took out half my men. Goriola's people are sweeping the compound." He looked at Simon's hand. "You have it?" Simon nodded. Felix's jaw tightened. "Then we finish this now. Backup's 5 minutes out." "We can't wait." Olivia shook her head. "They'll kill us if we stay here." Felix turned to her. "If we run, they'll rewrite everything. If we stay, the truth burns with us." Simon looked from one to the other. Then he said, calm and certain, "We don't run. We reveal." He pulled his phone from his pocket, cracked but functional. He turned the camera to live stream. "Simon, what are you doing?" Felix hissed, ending the lie. He pressed go live. The phone blinked red. The title appeared, "The Truth About Madam Agnes and the Chairman." The stream lit up instantly, hundreds, then thousands of viewers. Smoke swirled around him as he faced the camera, soot on his face, voice steady despite the chaos. "My name is Simon Bennett. Many of you know me as a businessman. Tonight I speak as a son. Years ago, the world called a woman named Madam Agnes a witch. They said she killed her son. They lied. She was murdered by greed, by men who used her name to steal from orphans. Her son, Henry Agnes, died trying to expose them. His evidence is here." He held up the flash drive. "These files link Councillor Goriola and his associates to the laundering of millions meant for the poor. The truth they buried under bridges is now in the light. I'm uploading it to every major network." Felix's eyes widened. "Simon," but it was too late. A gunshot cracked through the garden. The phone dropped from Simon's hand, the screen shattering on the marble path. Olivia screamed. Simon staggered, clutching his side, blood soaked through his shirt. Felix spun, firing back toward the gate. A shadow ducked behind the burning car. Goriola's voice cut through the smoke, cold and mocking. "Always the hero, Simon. You should have stayed rich and quiet." Felix shouted, "Police, drop your weapon." Another shot. Sparks flew off the gate. Simon sank to one knee, breathing hard. "Felix, the drive." Felix caught it just as Goriola stepped into view, gun aimed. His face glistened with sweat and fury. "You think the world will believe you over me?" Goriola spat. "I built this city. I feed its lies." Felix stepped forward, gun trained. "And now the city will eat you alive." Goriola's sneer twisted. "You won't leave this place alive." He pulled the trigger, but a shot rang out from behind him first. Goriola froze, eyes wide. The red scarf woman stood at the gate, pistol still smoking. For a moment, no one moved. She lowered her gun slowly. "He stopped paying me," she said flatly, "and I hate unpaid debts." Goriola fell to his knees, disbelief painted on his face. Blood pooled on the marble. Felix lunged forward, kicking his gun away. "Hands where I can see them." But Goriola was already gone. The woman looked at Simon, who was struggling to stay upright. Her voice softened. "Your mother was stronger than all of us." Olivia's eyes filled with tears. "Why did you kill my father?" The woman's jaw trembled for the first time. "Orders. I was young, scared. I've been paying for it ever since." Felix raised his weapon again. "You're under arrest." She smiled sadly. "No, Inspector. I'm already condemned." Before anyone could move, she turned the gun on herself. A single shot echoed through the burning compound. Silence followed, long and hollow. Felix holstered his weapon slowly. Olivia fell to her knees, sobbing. Simon pressed a hand to his wound, wincing. The phone on the ground buzzed faintly. Somehow, despite the chaos, the stream was still live. Hundreds of thousands now watching in stunned silence. The world had seen everything. Sirens drew closer. Police cars and ambulances flooded the gate. Firefighters stormed in. As medics lifted Simon onto a stretcher, he caught Olivia's trembling hand. Tell them Madam Agnes is free now," he whispered. She nodded through tears. "Rest. You've done enough." He smiled weakly. "No. Not yet." Promise me the home stays open." "I promise." His eyes closed as they carried him away. Felix turned to the officers. "Get every copy of that stream online before it disappears. The truth belongs to the people now." Hours later, as dawn rose over Lagos, the headlines were everywhere. Councillor Goriola exposed. Billionaire whistleblower survives attack. Agnes Foundation. Truth restored after 20 years. In the courtyard of the burned mansion, Olivia stood by the lilies, holding the pendant with the initials H.A. She whispered, "We did it, Grandma." A soft wind brushed her cheek, warm, gentle, almost like a hand. Behind her, the children rescued from the bridge were arriving again, laughing, rebuilding what the fire had taken. And somewhere beyond the sunrise, Simon Bennett lay in a hospital bed, breathing steady, a faint smile on his lips. The world finally knew the truth, and Madam Agnes's story had come full circle, a circle of love, pain, and redemption that would never be broken again. If you like this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.